Hi, my name is Mark and today I want to show you a game called Kalypso. Kalypso is a game by Inside Up Games and I got this prototype for preview from them, so thanks a lot for sending it. This game will be on Kickstarter on September 23rd and this is a post-apocalyptic tile-laying survival game. It may sound strange, but this is what it is. You will basically build a colony on an ocean. There is nothing left, only ocean is left, and from different scraps and salvage you will try to build a colony, as you see on the cover. In a second I will tell you how the game plays and what the game is about. You can play this game cooperatively, competitively and solo, so a lot of different play modes. So I will show you in a second what the game is about and then I will tell you what I think about it. This is Kalypso prepared for play. This is basically the setup for one player, at least the right part of the screen. Each player gets this ocean board, and the ocean board is covered with this special material. I'm not sure if you can see it in the camera, but it makes all the tiles basically stick to it. The tiles that you use with different materials that you use to create your city on the ocean are also covered with it. So if you move your board, nothing slides from it, and this is quite innovative because usually when you play tile-laying games and you push your board, everything falls apart and you have no idea what you are building, and thanks to this board everything sticks to it. Each player gets this board in the multiplayer setup, because in the solo setup the rules are a little different. I will talk about them a little later. The main goal of course is the same, to build a city, but you will have additional goals in the solo and co-op mode. But in the multiplayer mode, each player gets this board. Each player gets a deck of forecast cards. There are 7 of those cards and each player has the same 7 cards. Then each player gets a vortex, and this is where you will place the salvage tiles. Salvage tiles are these T-shaped tiles. If you played Tetris video game, those shapes will look familiar to you. So you had this vortex, you will place the tiles here, 5 of them, and then each turn you will pass this vortex to other player and you will get a vortex from another player. So this is basically a drafting mechanic. Those tiles here are not yours for the game, you will pass it around the table and you always have to take one and place on your ocean board each turn. There is this board where you have buildings. There are 4 types of buildings, because the things that you place on your ocean board, these T-shaped tiles, are called salvage tiles, and those tiles are the tiles that you have like gathered from the ocean. They can be created from metal, wood, seaweed and rubber. That's why they have different colors. This is like basically wood, and this is plastic, of course, also. But plastic is basically useless in this game. So you have this T-shaped salvage tiles, and you also have this scrap tiles that are smaller. You always have one plastic and one something on them, different material, and you can get them during the game. So you will basically create 2 layers of your city. The first layer is the layer created from different types of materials, and on this first layer you will create different buildings, and they are also green like seaweed, yellow like wood, this white like metal, and the dark blue like rubber. But this is the common board. Every player will take buildings from this board. There are more of them in the box. I didn't want to place all of them here. And then there are those 2 goal tiles, not tiles, goal cards. You randomly take 2 at the start of the game. There are of course more of them in the game box. One thing to mention, this is a prototype again, so the final version of this game may look different. But those 2 notice board cards are the goals for the game. They give you opportunity to score additional points during the game, apart from the points from different buildings and from, and ships and fish and everything that you build during the game. Here you can get additional victory points by completing those 2 goals. This one tells you to build monuments. Those monuments are like the biggest buildings in the game, and here you have to build sets of buildings in each color. But as I said, those cards, there are more of those cards in the game box. Here we have barrels, those small tiles. Some of the barrels you also have on your ocean board. We have survivors, you will be able to rescue them and then you'll be able to place them on your buildings. You have nets and gardens that you will be able to, build in your city, and nets are used to catch fish. Here are the monuments, bigger buildings in the game that you can use. And here are ships that you will be able to build and place on the board, and ships allow you to place nets, and nets allow you to catch fish. Fish are drawn, there are drawings of fish on the game board, but you also have this back with different fish and they have different numbers on the back, and those numbers are basically victory points. So when you catch fish, you never know what fish, how valuable fish you will be able to catch. But the main idea of the game, no matter if you play multiplayer or solo, is to build basically a city. There are 4 rounds in the game. At the start of each round in the multiplayer game, you have to choose one of these forecast cards and you have to give this card to another player, clockwise or counterclockwise depending on the number on the round, but you give one of those cards to the other player. And the thing is that this player needs to perform the requirements from this card. So this is basically that you tell other player what the other player needs to do in the round. If the player accomplishes the goal, the player will get the bonus. If not, the player will get some negative victory points at the end of the game. So a part of your personal ideas how to build your city, and apart from this notice board goal cards, there are also those forecast cards that you have to consider and that you have to think about, because you can get bonuses from them, but you can also get penalties. So you take one of those cards and you give to the next player. You also will get one of those cards from other player, and then you will place this card, for example, let's say here. And this is your goal for the first round. First, second, third, and fourth, as I said, 4 rounds. And in your turn, at the start of the game, you randomly take 2 of those T-shaped salvage tiles from the back. This is the back with those tiles. There are quite a lot of them, and you will take 2, choose one, and place it in the middle of your ocean board, and then the game begins. So what you will do in your turn? Basically, when you get this vortex, you will choose one of those tiles and you will place it on your ocean board, and that's basically it. It needs to be adjacent to another tile on your board, so you cannot put it like this, you cannot put it like this, so only corner are adjacent to each other. One side at least must be adjacent. So you could put it, for example, like this. So you take a tile, you will place it on your board, and that's basically it. And there are some bonus actions that you can, or bonuses that you can get. If at any point of the game you have a square 2 times 2 like this here, and this square contains at least 3 of the same material, like here we have metal, 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 and we have plastic, you can build a building. And the color of the building corresponds to the material below. So here we can build something out of metal. And here we can either build a solar panel, it will give you a victory point at the end of the game, or you can build a ship. If you build a ship, you will be able to create this, and then you will be able to take a ship and place it somewhere around the ocean board in any square you want, because this ship will allow you to catch fish in the future, for example, something like this. And this is basically what you do. Then you have only 4 tiles left, and you give it to another player, and then the next turn you get another board. Let's say we got this again from another player, and again we can choose something like this. For example, let's say we took this. If you put any tile over this life preserver, you remove it from your board. And this means that you have rescued a survivor, you put it to the side, and you will take 1 survivor, and you will put it near your player board. Here we have an area with 4 materials. 3 of them are the same. We can take this building or this yellow one and put it into our board. This one, for example, allows you to take the survivor you have rescued and put it onto one of the other buildings in your city. If you put it in the other building, you will get more points from this survivor because he becomes the resident of your city. But if you place a worker on a building, you can trigger the bonus of a building again. So we could basically build another boat. And that's it. And then again, you pass the vortex to another player, and this is how it goes. We have different types of buildings. This building allows you to build gardens, and gardens will score points at the end of the game. This allows you to place a net. If you want to place a net, you have to take a net. Then you have to choose an area with your boat. For example, we could put it here, and we have 1, 2, 3 fish. So we will take 3 fish from this bag, and those fish are secret to other players, but they will give us, in this case, 3 victory points at the end of the game. We have this building. This allows you to take a saved survivor and place it into your city, or you can build this building and you will get a barrel. A barrel, you have 4 of them also on your player board, so if you cover them with anything, you get them, and they can be added to your city anywhere you want, and they are like any material you want. So they are basically working as a wild material. So if I put it here, I can say, for example, that this is wood or anything I want. So if you build this building, you get 1 barrel. All those numbers in the top right corner are the points you get for this building at the end of the game. This gives you solar panels, additional points, or allow you to build a boat. And this building allows you to take a salvage, this T-shaped tile, from the back, or if you choose this building, you can get 2 salvage tiles from the other back. Salvage tiles are, the scrapped tiles are those smaller. So you can either get 1 salvage tile, the T-shaped tile, or you can get 2 smaller. If you get them, you have to immediately add them into your city. And this is how it goes. At the end of 4th round, if there is only 1 salvage tile left on the vortex, you will discard it. Each player needs to check if the player managed to complete the forecast card that he or she got from other player. If you manage to fulfill it, then you get some bonuses. For example, this +2 fish tokens you get immediately when you fulfill the condition. If not, you will flip it, and then you will get minus, here in this case, for example, 6 victory points at the end of the game. And then you have a new round. You will flip this vortex to the other side, because it shows you here with these arrows where you should pass it to each player, to your left or right. In the 2nd and 4th round, you pass it counterclockwise, and here you can pass it clockwise. You will draw 5 new tiles from this bag, and the game will continue. And at the end of the game, you will basically get victory points for everything. There are those help cards, and they show you that you get points for fish, for buildings, for survivors, for orthogonally adjacent ocean space if you get the solar panels. You will get points for community objective, forecast cards, additional victory points. And of course the person with most victory points wins the whole game. And this is how you play the multiplayer version of Kalypso. If you want to play solo, it plays a little different, because you will not solo or co-op, because the rules are basically more or less the same. You will not play on 1 ocean board, but you will play on 4 ocean boards connected together. I will not create this huge board right now, but you will have a huge ocean board with an island in the middle. At the start of the game, you will also randomly take 2 of those goal cards, but this segment doesn't interest you. The more interesting segment at the bottom, that monuments must equal or exceed player count, and here you need at least this number of sets here at the end of the game. Because in the multiplayer game, those cards, they give you additional victory points. In the solo or co-op, those are the end game conditions. If you don't manage to complete those two goals on those cards, you will lose the game. So you need to complete them in order to win the game. Another thing is that you don't get forecast cards from other players because you play solo or cooperatively, but you will shuffle your deck, and each round you will randomly take the top card, and you will not look at the top condition, but you will look at the bottom condition, and you will slide this card at the bottom of your player board like this. And this means that you need to complete this goal, because otherwise it's game over. So again, you need to complete at the end of each round, each of the forecast goals must be completed, and at the end of the game, both goals from this notice board cards also needs to be completed. So you don't play just to score points, but you need to complete specific goals in the game. You will also play 4 rounds. The other different thing is that you will not use this board with the buildings. I will remove those buildings, but you will use the other side of the board. And this is much more complex, because let me show you. Those are the different resources that are available in the game. They look like this. And you will use those cubes to track those resources. Here you have fish. You need fish to feed your survivors. This shows you how many survivors you have. So if you have 3 survivors, each survivor needs to eat 2 fish. If you don't have fish to feed the survivors at the end of the round, you will lose the game. You're right. So you need fish to feed the survivors. Those survivors, they need gardens. So each garden shows you how many survivors can use it. So you need to provide food to the survivors, you need to provide gardens to the survivors. If you want to place a boat, you first need to place solar panels in your city. And here you will track the 4 rounds. So the solo and co-op game looks much different, because it becomes more like a, you could say, survival type of game. You have survivors that will arrive into the city, and you will not only get survivors from these life preservers, but you have this card as well. And depending on your player count and difficulty, at the start of each round, new survivors will arrive and will be placed in the middle island of the game. And at the end of each round, you need to take those survivors and you need to place them somewhere into your city. In order to place survivors, you must build houses. If you don't manage to place all survivors from the island into your city on houses, then you will lose the game. So this is pretty cool and pretty funny, because you have this whole resource track that you need to manage: food, gardens, solar panels, boats. You also have this track at the bottom. Each time you will get one of the life preservers from the ocean, and this means rescuing another survivor, you will place it in one of those spots, and you will unlock additional special ability that you will be able to use during the whole game. So this is pretty cool. And you have those spots here, because this is used for solo. Normally in a multiplayer game, you will have again 5 of those salvage tiles on the vortex, and you will pass it with other players. If you play solo, you will not use this vortex at all, but at the start of each turn, each round, you will take 2 tiles from the back. You will choose one, you will add this one tile to your city, and you will put the other tile here at the top of this, basically at this board. So when you play solo, each round you will be able to take 5 turns instead of 4, because you have like more difficult game if you are alone. So you have 5 turns, 4 rounds in total, so 20 rounds in 20 turns in the whole game. So this is interesting, because the game, when you play it solo and co-op, it feels different, because when you play it solo or co-op, it feels like a real survival type of game where you have to manage resources, you have to rescue survivors, you have to place them into your city, you have to complete different goals. And when you play a multiplayer game, you are basically trying to score as many points as you can and score more points than other players. But the whole idea is basically the same. You have this ocean board. It's not, okay, this is maybe slippery, the top layer, but the bottom part is not slippery. You have this ocean board. You will place different salvage and different scraps on it, and then on this material tiles you will build different buildings and you will try to win the game. This is how you play Kalypso. Now when you have an idea how the game plays and what the game is about, I can tell you what I like and what I dislike about this game. Of course, this is a prototype, so a lot of things can change in the final edition of the game, and as with all Kickstarter GameFound games, I always encourage you to visit the campaign page and to see for yourself what the game is about, what are the pledges, what are the prices and everything. I only cover my impressions in this video, but all the details will be on the Kickstarter page of Kalypso. Link will be in the description. But what I like, what are the pros of this game for me? First, a very unique take on a post-apocalyptic theme. Because there are a lot of post-apo games, like Zombicide for example, but I have never played, I think, a tile-laying survival game, and this is pretty cool and pretty unique. So when I first read what the game is about, I was already intrigued. The second thing I like are the polyomino tiles and elements. I was born in 1979, so my childhood, I spent my childhood in the 80s. So I played a lot of Tetris video game, and I have something with Tetris games, but when I have an abstract game like this one with polyomino tiles, I already like it. And the same is with this game. Those tiles and all the things that you have to place on the board remind me of Tetris that I really like. Another plus of this game is that it's surprisingly crunchy and I would say not complex in terms of rules, but the game involves a lot of thinking and strategy. And maybe when someone tells you, okay, you have a game with different tiles, you will place those tiles on the board and then you will score some points. It sounds very easy and it sounds like a light game, but this game is quite complex because you build your city on basically two different layers. You have the first layer with different materials and then you have the second layer with the buildings, and they are dependent on each other. You have the nets, you have fishes, you have boats, you have gardens, you have survivors, and you have the forecast cards and the game goal cards. So there's a lot of things that you have to consider when you're playing this game, and this is pretty cool. What I mentioned earlier, this whole city building on two different layers is also quite interesting because you need to think about how to place those material, those salvage and scrap tiles in order to build the right buildings on top of it. But again, each building has got two sides, so there's another decision you have to make, which side of the buildings to put into your city. So this is pretty interesting. But the thing I like most about this game, I think, is that the solo and co-op mode is not the beat your own score type of game, because this is the laziest way of making abstract games for solo gamers. There are a lot of games like Calico and Cascadia that basically tell you if you play solo, you play by the same rules as multiplayer, and then you have to, calculate your score and write it down, and next time you play it, you have to beat it. This game is different, and I think this is quite unique that this game is more interesting as a cooperative and solo game than multiplayer, because when you play multiplayer, you just build your colony however you want, then you will score points and that's basically it. But when you play co-op and when you play solo, this is a true survival game. You have different resources, you have different goals, you have survivors that are on your island and you have to place those survivors in your colony on different houses. You have to think on the round goals, you have to think of the end game goals, you have to fish to feed the survivors, you have to provide gardens so they have some green in your colony. So this is really interesting, and for me the multiplayer, not multiplayer, but the cooperative and solo mode is more interesting than the competitive mode. So this is quite unique. And the last thing I really like is this strange material that the game is covered with. I showed it in the earlier part of the video, because thanks to this material, nothing basically slips on the board. And this is pretty cool, because when you place something on the board and you move your board, everything stays in place. And this is very important, but something I have seen for the first time in a game like this, because dual layer board is something that we are all familiar with, and in Euro games when you have dual layer board like this one here with these resources, this is okay, this is great, but a board covered with this special material is pretty unique. What are the cons of the game for me? The special material, even though it's really cool and makes your tiles stay in place, makes the tiles a little blunt, and they have washed out. So I don't know, I would, maybe in the final version they can change it, but I would like to have more saturation on the board and on the tiles, because they all look like, I know, milky, and the colors are washed out. The second thing that I would prefer is to have a smaller play area in the solo co-op mode, because when you play a competitive game, each player plays on one of these boards, but if you play solo or co-op, you have to use all 4 ocean boards, and this makes this game quite huge. I would say unnecessarily huge, so maybe they could change it that if you play solo or with 2 players, you will only use 2 boards, and if you play with 3 or 4 players, you will have to use 4 boards. But for solo, I would prefer a smaller play area. And the last thing is that the setup of this game takes a lot of time, I would say, because you have different buildings, you have to separate them, you have all those nets and gardens and survivors and boats and barrels and different types of tiles. But probably, I guess, in the final edition of the game, maybe you will have some trays with different buildings and with different tiles, and it would be great if they add some trays to the game, that you will be able just to take out those trays and put them on the table and just play the game. It would make the setup easier. Overall, I really like Kalypso, and I have to say that this is one of the most unique abstract tile laying games I played in a long time, mostly thanks to this really cool solo and co-op mode, where you have a goal to accomplish, and you don't only play to beat your own score, but even if you play a competitive game, it's a fun tile laying abstract game with a cool theme. It looks really good, and it's very strategic and crunchy. Again, and I encourage you, visit the Kickstarter page of this game, take a look for yourself. If you like what you see there, you can consider backing this game. Inside Up Games, they make a lot of cool games like Earth, for example, so they know how to make good games. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. Visit me on Facebook, Instagram, and all the links are in the description of the video. See you next time. Bye.